All right, so I want to introduce myself to everybody. Dr. Akua Gray. I want to tell you that my first modality of naturopathy was actually herbology. When I started into naturopathy, I worked with several herbalists in my community, plus took a couple of herbalist correspondence courses, like the one that I've kind of set up here with A Life of Peace. And it has just been a passion. I raised herbally conscious children from the time that they were little, always treated their little childhood ailments with herbs and teas and tinctures and syrups. And so using Mother's Nature's bounty has just been a part of what I've been doing for myself, my family, and also my clients and community as a naturopath over the last few decades. Um, I've been teaching herbology for the last 10 years, which has been very rewarding to see students come into the program, travel with me to Ghana, West Africa, study in the bush, go on herbal walks. It has just been a beautiful journey. So, herbs is a passion of mine, always constantly learning because, of course, I don't think there's anyone that can learn absolutely every herb that there is. But as we go along tonight in learning about the naturopathic herbalists, we're going to delve into a little bit of what herbalists can learn in this particular program. So that's a little bit about me, and let's get started with the curriculum. So, in the naturopathic herbalist course, we consider the herbalist a natural pharmacist. And one of the things that we do is we take the knowledge of plants first and foremost from the ancestors and what they have taught. And we also look at what scientists have said about herbs. And we also look at what our teachers and our personal experience provides for us in the way of using herbs as medicine and really as a way of life. Now, most people who intend to become herbalists are doing so for a few reasons. Either you want to learn how to use plant medicine for yourself and your family, which is perfectly fine. And then you may also want to be learning herbology in relationship to career goals that you have. Or you may just want to be able to learn how to grow and propagate herbs to have them in terms of a distribution business. There are so many different reasons why you could become an herbalist. So this course is designed to be able to fulfill any of those particular desires that you have when it comes to learning about herbology. In the Naturopathic Herbalist course, we use three particular books. The first one is the Natural Health and Wellness book, The Consultant Manual, and we learn quite a bit about naturopathic assessment as well as herbology and how to look at the healing process through herbs from a holistic point of view. Because as a naturopathic herbalist, we're not just concerned about the physical aspect of healing. We are also concerned about how plant medicine affects the mind, how it affects the emotions, and also how it can be used for spiritual ascension. So, from a naturopathic point of view, we deal with all four of those aspects of wholeness because ultimately people want to be whole. They want to be at peace. They want to be whole. Nobody wants to be sick. Nobody wants to be tired. So we learn how to treat the whole body in terms of our own health and those that we will serve. We also use one of Phyllis Balk's books, The Prescription for Nutritional Healing, A to Z Guide to Supplements. This one helps us to understand the nutritional aspect of herbology because we have two particular reasons why herbs are important. Most important is they are nutritional, because what keeps the body healthy and what keeps the body going is how we nutritionally condition our bodies. And then the other part of it is medicinal. As we know, the original terminology for the word drug, which was the word drug, actually means dried plant. So we know that herbs have medicinal properties. And so we learn both the nutritional aspect of herbs as well as the medicinal aspect of herbs. Another one of my favorite books and also one of my favorite teachers in herbology, which was one of the correspondence courses that I took when I first started in herbology, is Mike Tierra, The Way of Herbs. And this book has been around for a very long time. I'd probably say probably since the 70s. And Mike Tierra has been out there probably even before the 70s teaching about herbs and helping people to understand what a benefit herbology is for life and living. And so it's a great book. He delves into the Ayurvedic methods of herbology in this book. He also talks about the beginning of the Chinese learning of herbology. So it's just an overall good book. And so we'll get into all three of these books into the course and, learn quite a bit. Now, this fourth little picture that you see here on the screen is what we call the herbal medicine making kit. Now, this is one of those optional things that you can get because if some of you are already into herbs, you might have some of these products already. But if you want to get into get off to a good start in learning how to produce herbal products, this kit is a must-have. And usually learningherbs.com will put the kit out. I think they put the kits out maybe like twice a year, and they put them on sale. They're usually around 70, like $69 going up. But still, even if you don't buy the kit, you can go and look at the ingredients in the kit and maybe just begin collecting those things on your own, because in the course, we're going to get into methods of application, which is how to make particular herbal products. Now, the main book in the Naturopathic Herbalist program is the workbook, which contains the different lessons that we're going to talk about. And in this book, this is like your guide to navigate through everything that you're going to learn. Now, most students take about a year to complete this course. Now, you could actually do it in less time if you really dedicated some time to it. If you made this a part of the weekly thing that you do in life, you could probably get it done in about 6 months. There's only 13 lessons, but in those 13 lessons, you have several different components of learning that you're going to go through that really touches all of the different learning styles. And so we'll get into that in just a few moments. So in these 13 lessons, you have the human nutrition, you have herbal nutrition, because again, plants being the framework of a healthy body, we've got to look at it from a nutritional point of view first. We learn about herbs, enzymes, and hormones, and we're going to talk a little bit more about each one of these lessons a little bit later. We also, again, get into the herbal medicine and methods of application. We look at Western pharmacology. And the reason why we put that in there is because a lot of people are on prescription medications. And sometimes we have to do an assessment to find out whether any herbal remedies that we're going to be recommending to someone or either taking for ourselves is interactive with any type of prescription medication that a person is going to be taking. That is something that's very, very important because we always want to avoid contraindications. And again, we'll talk a little bit more about that later. We're also going to look at cross-cultural herbology. Of course, we know that every indigenous people on this planet has worked with plant medicine since the beginning of their times. So we're going to take a look particularly at the Jamaican herbal history, and we're also going to look at the Ghanaian herbal history. So we're going to cross a few cultural borders and learn about herbs in some different cultures, how they're similar. Some we've heard of, some we may not have heard of, just depends on your knowledge in herbology. And then we're going to look at some edible plants. You know, one of the sayings that they have in the organic farming community is that food is free. And herbal medicine is also free if you know what to look for when you go out in the bush or in the forest or by the pond or in the plains and the fields. Okay, food is free. So we're going to look at learning a little bit about edible plants. We'll look at it in terms of the different areas that we live in because different edible plants grow in different regions of the country as well as the world. We're also going to delve into some of the indigenous herbs and how they relate to spiritual healing. One of my favorite methods of herbology also comes from Ayurvedic medicine. So we will also get an overview of some of the methods of Ayurvedic assessment skills for the herbalist, as well as some of the methods that they use in their practices. And then in the final two lessons, we're going to look at ancient medicine today. And we know the most ancient of peoples that used herbal medicine was the ancient Egyptians, or as we say, the ancient Kemetic people. So we're going to look at Kemetic herbology and what that actually means for us today. Some of the methods and things that they used can be beneficial for us even 5,000 years later. Okay, and then lesson 14 is kind of like a bonus lesson, and that's where we deal with herbal aphrodisiacs. So that's kind of like a fun lesson. You know, you don't have to turn in anything, but it's just some really nice information. So let's go ahead and take a look at um, this naturopathic herbalist path. Okay, we follow what are called the principles of naturopathy when it comes to herbalism in this course. And the principles of naturopathy simply state that nature has the power to heal. We don't heal, we provide information, we provide resources of herbs, and we help people to get to the cause of why they are ailing. And again, it could be mental, physical, emotional, or spiritual issues that we deal with as herbalists. Another aspect of the principles of naturopathy is that we can do no harm. And the way that we learn herbalism in the naturopathic herbology path is we learn how to pay attention to what we are recommending, how we are recommending, and the different reactions that our clients or our family members could possibly have. And we take that into account. Now, of course, any form, in any part of naturopathy, we always look at prevention first. And in fact, I tell my clients, don't come and see me when you're sick. I don't like sick people. In fact, I don't even like myself when I'm sick. Okay. So come and see me now so that I can teach you through the methods of herbs how to never get sick. So we really work on learning how to prevent sickness as opposed to putting out fires when symptoms start to occur. And then, of course, we're going to treat the whole person. That goes back to our 4 aspects. The mental person, everybody has a physical being, everybody has an emotional being, and everybody is a spiritual being. So we look at the healing process, again, through all 4 of those aspects. Next, we have the care plan. What is it that we actually do as herbalists? We pretty much follow a typical protocol. And once we do an assessment on our clients and we see what is happening with the complaints that they are coming with, because 9 times out of 10, when people come to see an herbalist, they have a physical problem. They can't sleep, they can't eat, they're having inflammation, they're having pain, they have a disease that they've been dealing with and they haven't been able to get any relief from the allopathic medicine. They come to us for all kinds of reasons, but I would say about 90% of the time, people come to herbalists for a physical problem. So after we do our assessments, and we do learn how to physically assess our clients in naturopathic herbology, we put together a remedy list. Okay, this is what I see as far as the stresses that are showing up in your body, and this is what we can do in taking you through the step-by-step process of healing and bringing yourself back into wholeness. So we put together a remedy list, and then we look at nutrition. That's correct. Herbalist looks at nutrition first. What is the person eating? Because if a person is not taking care of their body nutritionally, you can give them all the herbs in the world and it still won't do them any good. So we learn also nutritional assessment, because in order for plant medicine to work, it can't be in a fight against McDonald's. McDonald's is probably going to win because of the hormonal and chemical factors that are involved in those types of foods. Okay, so we also look at the gradual progressive herbal intake. We don't sit someone down and say, okay, this is going on, this stress is showing up, now take these 15 herbs. Herbalists do not do it like that. We actually look at starting a person off on a gradual process, because remember, medicinal herbs can change the biochemical factors in a person's body. It can alter the brain chemistry. Herbs can alter the metabolic chemistry. Herbs can alter the hormones, because remember, these are the original medications that people used in order to affect things that were happening in the body. So we always go through a gradual, progressive herbal intake for our clients and then move right along as the healing process happens. We also look at lifestyle compatible methods of application. Okay, and I'll explain to you what that is. If you have a person that is constantly on the go, are they really going to sit down and make a cup of tea 5 times a day? Probably not. So you have to choose a method of application that is going to work with this person's life. If you have a stay-at-home mom, yeah, you could probably recommend that she makes a tea 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. But that busy professional that's on the go, they're probably going to need to be popping some capsules to get their herbs in, because they can just put them right in their bag and, set the timer on their phone and okay, click, 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 just pop them in, no matter where they are, at the airport, on the job site, driving in the car, whatever it may be. So that lifestyle compatible methods of application are very, very important. And then, of course, as herbalists, since we are health professionals, we do regular follow-ups with disease progression assessment. Again, you will learn about the different types of disease progression that show up in your assessment processes. And then, just in case, if you have a client that relapses, falls off of their herbal regimen, we also have relapse plans that we can work with our clients on to continue to bring them along. Okay? All right, so one thing that we also teach is that you are your own herbalist first. Before you can begin saying, take this, take that, putting together care plans for your clients, you've got to know this. So you are your own herbalist first, because in naturopathy, we say you can only give what you have. So if you have knowledge of how a particular herb functions in your body, you can be a testament to it. Every herb that I've ever recommended to anybody, I have taken myself. And I have taken it in a way of learning what that herb does to the body, how it feels, how it tastes, what are the effects on how I sleep when I'm taking the herb, the different combinations of herbs. Everything that I've recommended to anybody, I have taken myself. So, being your own herbalist first, you're going to start working with these herbs. And in the first few chapters, you're really going to get into the nutritional aspects of herbs, and you're going to be using some spices and things like that. So you're going to be able to understand how plant-based nutrition is important. And so you're going to learn about what it is to get into the kitchen and actually begin to put plant-based as a part of 80 to 100% of what you intake. Okay, this is not saying that you have to become a vegan or a vegetarian. That's not what this is saying. This is saying to become familiar with what plants can do for you nutritionally and medicinally. Okay, you're going to be using herbs again in your meal preparation. You're going to be learning about herbal liquid nutrition. You're going to also learn about regenerative herbs and medicinal herbs and your preferred methods of application. So you're going to learn how to do tinctures, try them out. You're going to learn how to do syrups, try them out. You're going to learn how to do different decoctions and different ways of making teas. There's a nice little video series on making teas that you will be able to watch. I really love the videos that John from Learning Herbs have put out. So I give you links to those videos so that you can take a look at the little quick methods of application that he puts out. So let's talk about the types of herbalists. Well, before we do that, let me go ahead and go to the chat box and see if there's any questions. And if you do have any questions, you can put them in the chat box. Okay, peace, peace, greetings, everyone. Peace, all greetings. Yes, volume is fine. Thank you for letting me know that. Okay, it doesn't look like there are any questions in the chat box, so we'll just keep it rolling. Wonderful. All right, so the different types of herbalists. The first one is called the organic herbalist. And this is someone who goes into the bush to get what it is that they want. Here in Ghana, we have a lot of organic herbalists. In fact, the family that has adopted us here in Ghana, in the village where we live, Papa and Auntie Elizabeth are organic herbalists. And people will come to Papa and they will have a particular ailment, a sprain, or stomach issue. And Papa will just walk right out in the bush, gather up the leaves and things that he needs, comes back to the compound, sits in the outdoor kitchen and prepares it, crush up and I'm watching him do this. He's crushing up the leaves on the little grinding stone, adding a little bit of spices and seasonings to it, putting it in the bottle, shaking it up, straining it, and then giving it to the person as an actual drink to take home that he just got out the bush a few minutes ago. Okay, that's what we call that organic herbalist. Okay, they know exactly where to go, what to do, right there on the spot, make up your medicine. Okay. And then we have what's called the cultivated herbalist. Now, the cultivated herbalist is that type of person who has an actual herb garden. So that person has taken the time to study the herbs that naturally grow in their particular area, and they have set aside a little bit of plot of land or a little spot in a community garden, and they're actually cultivating herbs. So when someone comes in or they need fresh herbs for a particular reason, then they will just go out into the herb garden, get what is needed, prepare the concoction or prepare the medicine, and it's right there at their fingertips. Okay, that's what we call the cultivated herbalist. Now, we also have the modern herbalist. And the modern herbalist is that person that has a lot of herb knowledge. And in that herb knowledge, they can tell you who, what, when, where to take a particular herb. And they usually are affiliated with an herbalist company. My herbalist company that I've been affiliated with for like the last 30 years now has been New Body Products. And they have more than 100 types of herbal products out there on the market. And it is a company that deals in organic herbs. And they have two retreat centers, one in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and one in Douglas, Arizona. And then their flagship space is in Compton, California. And so New Body Herbs has been that company that I have always turned to as a modern herbalist to supply myself, my family, as well as my clients and students with the different types of herbs. Now, I want you to understand that you don't have to be any one of these types of herbalists. You can really be all three of these types of herbalists. And in fact, you're going to learn how to be all three of these types of herbalists in the Naturopathic Herbalist program. You're going to actually have assignments where you are going out in the bush. You're going to also learn what is cultivated in your area by visiting the local nurseries and botanical gardens in your area. And you're also going to do herbal product research in this course so that you can see what is out there on the market and how these herbal companies got to be who they are. Okay? So you don't necessarily have to be one, but if you just want to be one, you can. But more than likely, you'll be a combination of all of these three types of herbalists. And it's fun to be flexible too, as well. All right, so let's look at a little bit in each one of the lessons here. Like I said, I'm not going to keep you all longer than an hour. We're about 30 minutes into the presentation now. And by the way, it is being recorded. I don't mind if you take screenshots of the slides, it's perfectly fine. But I do ask that you not share these like on social media or places like that. Just use it for your own personal use because the information that you do see on the slides is copyrighted material that is coming directly from the Naturopathic Herbalist Workbook. So I'm just going to make that disclaimer. It is being recorded, so of course, the link for the recording can be requested. You can always email me or my admin at kb@alifeofpeace.org or either Akua at alifeofpeace.org. Okay, so lesson 1, human nutrition. We're going to look at the holistic functions of the body. And we're also going to look at the anatomy. Knowing how the body works and knowing what the different organs need in terms of nutrition is going to be important. Because if you're going to be working with the body, you got to know what the body is. So we're going to look at what we call optimal daily intake. And we're going to look at what the female body needs, what the male body needs, what our children needs in terms of nutrition. So we're going to start off with getting to know the body. Then in lesson 2, we're going to look at herbal nutrition. What are the ways that herbs can be used from a nutritional point of view? What are the value of plants as it relates to our human survival? We're also going to be looking at the nutritional value of herbs as it relates to food preparation. When I first learned African herbology, my African herbology teachers, 2 of them, was Dr. Kwaku Ando, and I studied with him in Atlanta, Georgia, and also here in Ghana, West Africa. And one of the first plants that he taught our class about was a plant that is used in meal preparations, and that was the moringa plant. And then when I got to Ghana, I also studied with Dr. Kofi Asari. And the course that I took with him was a course called African nutritional science. And he talked about and taught us about all of the different herbs that were used in the soups and the stews, and the herbs that were made for just regular drinks for medicinal purposes. And so it was really interesting to be able to learn that, you should really be eating your herbs, and you should be using your medicine as food and food as your medicine, as the great Imhotep said in the medical papyruses of ancient Kemet. And so we're going to enhance our knowledge as in terms of food supplements with high vibration nutrition. Because again, our first line of recommendation in naturopathy, as it relates to naturopathic herbalism, is also nutrition. So when we, in each one of our lessons, and I'm giving you the example of what lesson 2 is like. In each one of our lessons, we have a reading assignment. So you will be reading out of your particular books that you have: The Way of Herbs, The Prescription for Nutritional Healing, and also the Natural Health and Wellness book. So you will have reading assignments. You have mandatory reading assignments, and you have additional reading assignments. And the additional reading assignments are optional. I don't want this to be like a total course in reading about herbs. That's not what this is about. Now, also, in each one of the lessons, you have a writing assignment. So there is a written assignment in every lesson. And not only is there a written assignment, but there is also what we considered a kinesthetic learning experience. So although this is an independent study course, you're going to be reading, you're going to be writing, and you're going to be doing in every single lesson. So you're not just going to be sitting at home. You're going to be going out into the bush. You're going to be going out. You have an assignment where you're going to be going out and interview herbalists in your community. You're going to be going to your botanical gardens, your nurseries, and you're going to actually learn how to reconnect with nature. You may even decide to begin to start growing your own herbal garden. So we intend for this to be conducive for all learning styles: the visual learner, the touch learner, the verbal learner. So, it's going to spark a lot of some good stuff in you. Let's just say that. All right, in lesson 3, we're going to learn about herbs, enzymes, and hormones. And this is where we get into the biochemical effects of herbology and how we begin to understand how the hormones, the enzymes, the different nutritional components actually affect the body system. Because remember, there is a difference between nutritional herbs, which you can take all the time, every day, and medicinal herbs, which are herbs that are only used at certain periods of time, depending on the body's needs. Okay? And an example of that would be golden seal. Golden seal is a medicinal herb. It is one of the strongest herbal antibiotics that we have available to us that the Creator has made. So these medicinal herbs should not be taken every day, or else it will alter the biochemical processes of the body, and they could cause a quote unquote side effect. And I will tell you this: golden seal being as strong as it is, women cannot take golden seal every single day. Just like if the medical doctor prescribed an antibiotic, they also will give a woman a yeast infection pill because they know when that antibiotic starts getting in that body and just killing up all the bacteria, the good bacteria and the bad bacteria, then it can also cause a yeast infection reaction in the vagina. And so a woman cannot take golden seal for more than 3 days. So when we recommend golden seal, we tell her take it 3 days on and 3 days off until the infection clears up in order to keep the balance of her body's bacteria. Okay, so we're going to get into those biochemical effects of herbs as well. Okay, then we're going to learn basic herbal and medical terminology because, again, being an herbalist is a health profession. You're going to be helping people with their health. So you need to learn the vocabulary of herbology, and you also need to learn the clinical terms for professional service that we use as herbalists. In lesson 5, we're going to begin to go into learning about the plants, and we're going to understand the plant world. You have a movie that you're going to be watching that deals with plant life. And we're also going to be getting out in nature. We're going to be taking our trips to the botanical gardens. We're going to be communing with nature, learning about the different types of leaves and how to identify plants according to their properties and how they look, how they flower. So all of those will also be a part of the lessons that you will learn. Then in lesson 6, we're going to deal with your methods of application. Remember, that's what I said. You're going to learn how to make medicine. You're going to learn how to make the teas, the tinctures, the pills, the syrups, the salves, the capsules, and all of the other different types of methods of application. I think there are probably like 7 or 8 different types of methods of applications that we're going to learn how to make. In chapter 6, we're going to look at, chapter 7, excuse me. There's 2 slides on chapter 6. So in chapter 7, we're going to look at herbal products guidelines. Some of you may be becoming herbalists because you're already making products and you want to add that herbal component to it. So we're going to be looking at herbal distribution companies and what they have done to get their products out on the market. We're going to be looking at the governmental regulations and guidelines and the definitions that are going to assist you in putting your product out there the correct way so that, you know, it could be possibly taken up by herbal shops and, you know, put into the Walgreens and all of those different places if you have that kind of aspiration for your products in public distribution. So we will get to know what those guidelines are so that you can do your business correctly. We're also, again, going to be looking at Western pharmacology. You've got to know what pharmaceuticals interact with the herbs that you're going to be recommending to your clients, because some of the combinations of herbs and prescription medications can cause adverse reactions in a person. Also, you're going to learn about the nutritional component of taking prescription medications and how they counteract a lot of the micronutrients that we take in. There are certain vitamins that actually are inhibited from operating in the body when people are on specific types of medications. So we're going to learn that too and be able to, you know, grandma comes to us and say, baby, can you give me a da-da-da-da-da-da-da? but grandma is taking 10 different medications. You don't just say, okay, grandma, take this, take this, take that, take this. No, you'll send grandma to an early grave if you do that. So you want to know how herbs and prescription medications interact. There are some herbs that don't have any interactions with any herbs, and they've tested these in the laboratories. And they found out, okay, out of the different herbal categories or the different medication categories, these herbs don't react to anything. And so we're going to learn how to identify those and what they are used for as well. Then we're going to get into the Chinese, the African, and the tropics in our cross-cultural herbalism. You're going to have lots of fun with learning about the Chinese methods of herbology in the Way of Herbs book. Also in your naturopathic therapist workbook, you're going to get a nice little survey on the herbs of Ghana and also the herbs of the tropics, specifically in alignment with Jamaica. The edible herbs, we're going to be looking at what grows in your area, and you're actually going to get out, take yourself an herbal walk, see if you can find some of these edible herbs. You know, you're going to pick some of them and you're going to make a method of application with them. So again, some hands-on learning for you when it comes to the wild edible herbs. The contemporary and indigenous herbs for spiritual healing rituals. We're going to explore the mental, emotional, and spiritual use of herbology. One of the real popular herbal spiritual rituals that are going around right now is the ayahuasca ceremony. And so, you know, we'll get into learning what the sedatives is. We will learn what are those mind-altering herbs and what they are used for spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. We will look at herbs that help to calm the body down and to go into relaxed mode, like your kava kavas and your valerians. So we'll look at how herbs can also affect us other than physical, but mental, emotional, and spiritual as well. Then we get into the Ayurvedic method. Like I said, this is one of my favorite ways. You're going to learn how to do the assessments in terms of determining what herbs would be best for a person based on their, what we call the dosha. So you will learn a little bit about that as well. And it might spark your interest in the Ayurvedic methods of healing to delve a little deeper and possibly even take a course or travel to India and work in one of those wonderful clinics that they have. You just don't know pampering until you get to Thailand and India. It's a beautiful thing. All right, and then we go into our last lesson, which is the ancient medicine today, and we're going to look at the ancient Kemetic medicine and how this medicine dates back more than 30,000 years. Some of the herbs we are still using today. So we'll do a nice little survey so that you can get a historical perspective on where all of this herbal stuff came from. It's been around for a very, very, very long time. And then that last lesson, remember that one I told you that was, it's optional. You can do it or not do it, but it's kind of fun to be able to say, you know, you can make some love potions for your clients if anybody's having any problems with their libido, or if they're needing to enhance their desire for their beloved. You also have some methods of application when it comes to the course. So let's go ahead and open up the floor for the last few minutes. If you are interested in this course, please do not leave the line because the next slide is something very special. Although we are nearing the end, I want you to wait until the last slide because you'll probably be pretty happy when you see this next slide. So a question comes in from Don. Hello, Dr. Akua. In the herbalist course, we'll be able to include herbal formulations for yoni steam in addition to other applications. Now, you know, the yoni steam, you will definitely be able to know what works for women's health. Now, what you choose to put together for something like a yoni steam can be unique. You don't have to use the particular yoni steam herbal formulas that are out there already. You will learn what is good for the woman's womb and her reproductive system. And I would encourage you to do your own unique method of formulating an herbal formula for the yoni steams. Okay, so don't do what everybody else is doing. Just this course is going to give you a unique perspective to be original. Okay, I hope that helps you, Don. What other questions do you all have, beautiful ones? Okay, there are no questions. That means either I'm really good or you're really good in terms of listening and getting it. I think it might be both of us. I am really good, and I think that you're really good too. Really? No questions? Oh my goodness. What? Okay. My aunt says, great detailed info. Thank you. No questions. Excited to learn more. How many start dates are there? There aren't any start dates. You start as soon as you get your materials. Okay. And you decide, Paula, how long the course is for yourself because it is a self-paced course. So it's not like we meet every week or anything like that. What we do have is the Herbalist Study Group online. So starting in February, we've already finished a whole 10 months of study groups. So I usually take a break um, during the time that I'm here in Ghana. And so starting in February, we're going to start the study groups back up. And that's where we meet once a month, the second Wednesday of every month. And we have a mini lecture on herbs. Sometimes I have guest speakers to come on and talk to you all. But the study groups is a time for us to get together, talk about any questions you have in the lessons, kind of vibe and learn from each other. But we only do that once a month. So it's not like a formal teaching kind of thing. It is an enrichment for your learning. The study groups are, okay? And so as I stated a little earlier, Paula, usually students are taking just about a year to complete this course. That's the average. Some longer, some less than a year. It just depends on how much time you put into it because you're setting your own schedule. And I will tell you, the more you attend the study groups, the more excited and enthused you're going to be about finishing your assignments. Okay. We also have a Facebook group. It's called the Naturopathic Herbology Study Group on Facebook. And you can click to join that group once you register for the course. Okay. Next question is there a prerequisite for taking this course? No, ma'am. This starts you off at the very beginning of learning how to be an herbalist. Okay. And